Karoline Leavitt just gave a brilliant example of how to confidently push back against biased media coverage, and she did it right in front of everyone. During a White House press briefing, NBC reporter Gabe Gutierrez asked her a question that was clearly designed to put her on the spot. But Leavitt didn't miss a beat. She calmly and directly turned the situation around, leaving the room completely stunned by how well she handled it. What followed was a powerful moment that showed just how effective clear communication and confidence can be when dealing with tough questions from the press. If you haven't seen this exchange yet, it's definitely worth your time. And if you want to keep up with more moments like this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out.
For releasing that information that you cited up there regarding the ICE arrests of the last couple of days. And I have them right here, but what I might ask is, why not release the same information for those who were deported to El Salvador?
Well, first of all, the information was released by the Department of Homeland Security. The individuals on the flights to El Salvador are foreign terrorists, and those are counterterrorism operations. They are much different than the arrests and final order of removals that you see on a day-to-day basis that law enforcement agents are conducting around the country.
That information was not, to that detail, was not released by DHS then?
I just told you the reason. It was a counterterrorism operation, a deportation of foreign terrorists, not illegal criminals who have been convicted of heinous crimes living in our American communities. It's two different things. Foreign terrorist, illegal immigrant criminal, two different things, two different definitions. You should.
This was something else. Karoline Leavitt was more fired up than we've ever seen her, and for good reason. The way some of these activists handle deportation issues shows just how disconnected they are from the facts. They're caught up in emotional arguments and completely miss the core issue, enforcing the law. Incredibly, they were actually pushing to bring someone with a criminal record back into the country. That's when Leavitt delivered one of the most direct and forceful responses we've seen at a White House press briefing. No shouting, no drama, just a firm, clear message that cut through all the noise. It was a moment that left a real impact.
How concerned is the president that a federal judge could hold a Trump administration official in contempt of court for defying deportation orders?
We are complying with all court orders. So I see what you're trying to do there with that question, but we're very confident that every action taken by this administration is within the confines of the law, and we continue to comply with the court's orders. And you have seen that, and the president made that clear yesterday in the Oval Office with President Bukele.
This is what happens when a reporter tries to score a quick gotcha moment and ends up completely backfiring. Things really heated up when journalists started questioning Karoline Leavitt about Alberto Garcia, an MS-13 gang member and suspected human trafficker who had already been deported. That's when the conversation took a serious turn. And it wasn't just Leavitt pushing back. The president of El Salvador chimed in too, and he didn't hold back. He openly criticized the reporters for defending someone with a violent criminal background, even calling them out as crazy for doing so. The moment was intense, eye-opening, and impossible to ignore.
El Salvador questions. Yesterday in the Oval Office, administration officials made it very clear that El Salvador is responsible for Mr. Alberto Garcia, yet El Salvador's president said we're not going to do anything with him. So my question is, who is responsible for this man and where he's going to end up?
Well, no. First of all, President Bukele said that he is not going to smuggle a foreign terrorist back into the United States of America, as many in this room in the Democrat Party seemingly want him to do. Alberto Garcia was a foreign terrorist. He is an MS-13 gang member. He was engaged in human trafficking. He illegally came into our country. And so deporting him back to El Salvador was always going to be the end result. There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland, because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member. Not only have we confirmed that, President Bukele yesterday in the Oval Office confirmed that as well. So he went back to his home country, where he will face consequences for his gang affiliation and his engagement in human trafficking. I'm not sure what is so difficult about this for everyone in the media to understand, and it's appalling, truly appalling, that there has been so much time covering this alleged human trafficker and this gang member, MS-13 gang member. It's truly striking to me.
It's hard to understand why some activists keep repeating the same points, defending someone who clearly doesn't deserve sympathy. But what really brought the conversation to a halt was Stephen Miller's response. He stepped in, stayed calm, and took apart every argument one by one. he made it clear just how out of touch these takes have become. If you haven't seen it yet, it's worth watching. This is how you cut through the noise.
With respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for him to get him back?
Even after the man's own president refused to take him back, calling him a terrorist, some activists are still making noise in his defense. But the real standout moment came at the end. Karoline Leavitt delivered one of the sharpest takedowns of her career. A reporter tried to challenge her with a question about Joe Biden's recent speech, but she turned it around so effectively that the entire room fell silent. It was a bold finish that left no doubt about where she stood.
To deliver his first major speech since leaving office tonight. He plans to talk about what I'm told will be Social Security under the current administration, closing of offices, longer wait times, harder for seniors and people with disabilities to access earned benefits, is what Democrats have been saying today. I wanted to get the president's response, or if he plans to respond to this, and comments on what Democrats are calling cuts to Social Security.
My first reaction when seeing former President Biden was speaking tonight was, I'm shocked that he is speaking at nighttime. I thought his bedtime was much earlier than his speech tonight. I understand the topic of his speech will be Social Security. Let me make it very clear ahead of former President Biden's remarks. President Trump, is absolutely certain about protecting Social Security benefits for law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens and seniors who have paid into this program. He will always protect that program. He campaigned on it, he protected it in his first term, and he's back again to continue protecting it.
Process that exists in this country for everybody, and the fact that this man had received no due process. It was effectively disappeared to a foreign country, a country which he came from, which he was basically he got
it's
asylum.
It's not a foreign country. He lives there.
Excuse me, no, he does not live there.
He's a citizen of El Salvador.
Scott, excuse me, he got asylum in this country.
He's a citizen.
Scott,
does he have asylum?
Excuse me, let me finish.
No, he doesn't.
No, it's not that he.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not that he got asylum. He got a judge to say that he could not be rendered back.
Does he have a deportation order?
Excuse me, he could not be. Can you let me finish? He could not be rendered back to El Salvador because he was at risk of being harmed in El Salvador. That is what a federal judge. That is what a federal judge.
By who? No, who was he at risk of?
Excuse me. That was what a federal judge said. He could not be deported. Who could he be at risk by? I don't know.
A rival gang.
No. Excuse me, Scott. Excuse me, stop. Do you really believe that this guy's an MS-13 member? Because
I got two heads of state telling me that they believe it.
Oh, okay. Your heads of state. Okay. Barack Obama said that.
This is exactly what sets Trump and his team apart. Sharp humor, real confidence, and a clear message the other side just can't match. Let's be honest. We've gone from playing defense to shutting down weak arguments in seconds. Thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.